Welcome back to the Dark Reading News Desk, coming to you live from Black Hat USA. I'm Terry Sweeney. Our next guest today is Joakim Kennedy, Threat Intel Manager from Anomali. Joakim, thank you so much for making some time to talk to us today.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Let's get really zen, let's get really basic, and let's start with the essential question: what is threat intelligence?
So, depending on who you ask, you kind of get different answers of what is threat intelligence. So the way we define it is, it's actionable information that you can use to either protect against a future threat, or you can use it to find previous sort of threat that have been against you.
Okay.
And it usually comes in sort of two parts. You have a data point that can be an IP or a domain, and then you have some sort of a context that gives you what it means, okay, and things like that. So bad IPs on its own is not threat intelligence. It's,
okay.
You need the whole thing, and it's the same thing with just context. It's not threat intelligence, that's just information. You need sort of both of it for it to be actionable.
So you need data and context.
Yes, correct.
Yeah. Thank you. Handling data or threat intelligence is obviously crucial for trained IT staff. Having a trained IT staff is also essential. The staffing challenges in both infosecurity and IT in general are well documented. Any sense of what we can do to get more people interested or excited about this particular field?
Yeah, I don't think there's directly one silver bullet for it. But from sort of what we should start looking into is to look for the future employment. So if we can sort of provide and get younger generation more interested into it. So one option could be to open up and give access to sort of tooling and stuff like that that's been used in the industry. So this is kind of why we are releasing an open source tool here at Black Hat that we're showing off at the Arsenal. So.
All right, thanks. It feels like we've got a couple of dynamics, though, that the security industry itself is juggling. The lack of sufficient candidates for cybersecurity jobs, but also an ongoing struggle for more budget dollars for both hiring, training, and retaining these same employees. Any sense of which of those challenges is easier for companies to deal with?
It's a hard. Both of them are really, really hard to solve.
Sure.
So the fact that you can't find any suitable candidates means that you have to go and look into to find new candidates that you're willing to train, and also they're also willing to actually learn. And for that, you need that budget. But on top of that, that budget should be there already, because it's important that you are actually training your cybersecurity team, because you need them to stay current. And it is something that probably would be what we should actually focus on solving, is to make sure that is actually what's happening.
So is the subtext to this, are we really talking about the politics of security?
Yeah, I mean, it all comes down, more money you have, the easier it is to solve sort of the problem.
Right, thank you. How do we evolve skills beyond collecting threat intelligence, from threat intelligence feeds from a wide range of sources to identify and act upon attacks that really pose a threat to the environment?
So threat intelligence that came in as sort of feeds and stuff like that has been a really, really great way of integrating and actually get organizations onto using threat intelligence. Now, we're sort of coming to a point where we have to sort of change how it's being used. The threats nowadays move so fast that by the time it actually hits a feed, the adversary has already moved on. So it's not sort of solving the same problem it used to do, where you could use it to block future threats. Where it still sort of serves a purpose, that you can use it to find, have I been breached? Is there been, for the historical lookup. Instead, what needs to be pushed on is to get that moving to actually use finished intel and use that knowledge to sort of prepare for the protection. And it's something that's coming with the, sort of the maturity. It's both the maturity of the industry, but also the maturity of the consumers of the threat intelligence.
So if I can torture your analogy a little bit, it feels a little bit like threat intel is a bit like weather data, but the bigger picture is you need something that's going to tell you like specifically when it rained and for how long. And
yeah, I mean where you can look at though is the thing with finished sort of threat intelligence is that it may not directly seem applicable from whatever the report you're looking at. So one of the training things you have to sort of focus on is to see how is this report that's coming out, how can I use what that information is there to actually protect my organization? There's parts here that I can actually utilize. It's not just that doesn't seem to apply, push next.
Okay.
You know, there's always information you can learn from it.
Okay. You seem to be alluding to, I'll call it an effectiveness gap in threat intelligence.
Yeah.
Is that accurate?
I would say there's an effectiveness gap in it. I mean, earlier, where it comes down to is the use of threat intelligence in the private sector is still a young or new sort of area. And I mean, earlier this year, there was the Anomali report sort of highlighted how sort of companies can sort of address the effectiveness. And one of the sort of the key things coming out of that is that it's the importance of actually having a dedicated team that is actually focused on just some threat intelligence. And then on top, sort of going back to what we previously talked, budget, that you actually are allocating a specific budget for this work. Other things to sort of solve the effectiveness is coming down to it's good to participate in all the sort of the sharing communities. So whatever ISACs that you have for your vertical, and then also when you're getting the threat intelligence, it's also good you need to be able to disseminate and send it out to whatever your integrations have. You know, if it's firewalls or endpoints, and which is that's kind of where we sit with Anomali, is to sort of can facilitate that. But in general, it comes down to you need to know who might be your particular adversary, what are they after, and what are their methods, and you know, you want to be prepared when they come knocking on the door, essentially.
Okay. Picking up on a comment you made a few minutes ago, I'm curious what your sense of the importance of training is in making a difference in this entire equation.
So training is very, very important. The industry moves quickly, so you always have to stay current, because you don't want your team to apply the last generation's methods to protect against the new generation that's being used by the threat intelligence, by the adversaries. On top of that, also, you know, the more you know, the better you are as a defender. You know, you need that strong base to stand on, to sort of help and work on from that. And the good thing is the security industry is a wide field. You don't have to come from a technical background. It does help, but in the same sense, if you're a technical person and you know other stuff, for example, around like policies and other things that are less technical, you're a better sort of a candidate and better sort of person within security. So whatever knowledge you can achieve, it is useful. So training it's very important.
All right. Thanks for this. This is really insightful. I appreciate you taking some time to talk with us at the Dark Reading News Desk.
Thank you.
We've been talking with Joakim Kennedy of Anomali. Don't go away. There's more News Desk coming right up.